state of the nation, particularly some of the emerging issues that are at the front burner in recent times. I'm joined by Reverend Olu Martin, a civil society activist. Reverend Olu Martin, many things to join us.
Good morning, thank you for having me.
I also have with us a social commentator, Christian Osegale. Christian, many things to join us.
Good morning.
But let's begin with the just concluded National Convention of the ruling All Progressives Congress, the APC. That was last Saturday. From the initial report, it was as though all went smooth, all went clear, all went beautiful, until reports started coming about the crisis that trailed it with two states delegates, going for a free-for-all. I expected that with the level of development and progress made so far, all of these things would have been a thing of the past. But we must give kudos to the party that at least the convention took place against all odds, against all permutation. Let me start with you, Reverend Olu Martin.
Thank you very much. I don't know what indices is on ground for which would conclude that you would think that face-offs and fracas would be a thing of the past in the Nigerian political space. That's of course if you believe that there's a difference between the APC and the PDP. That's of course if you believe that any level of sanity has been injected into the political space. That's of course if you believe that there's any difference between politicians from XYZ political party and the other political party. I have long concluded, and it is my humble logomaki, that we have just one political party in Nigeria, and it is the political party of the oppressive ruling class put together to oppress the majority of Nigerian people and to annex Nigeria as a part of their private estate. The essential, the fundamental drive of the average politician in Nigeria is aggrandizement, profiteering, economic advancement. So once money becomes the base of which you enter into political office, you didn't enter into political office to serve the people. And it doesn't matter whether it is PDP, whether it is APC, across board, because the PDP had demonstrated it whilst they were there. Unfortunately, seeing APC, it is not any different in as far as we. So for me, as far as I'm concerned, there's just one political party, and that's why most times I root for individuals and not for political parties. So I wasn't expecting anything different from what was happening there. Maybe perhaps because you have a ruling party. I would have thought that because you have a president who is in charge, you have what it takes to placate people and to bring people together. But if you also look at where the states in particular, where some of the things took place, I think in particular it was Imo State.
And Delta State.
Yeah, and Delta State. You will know that there's been quite a fight for the soul of the party in those states. But if out of 32 states, 36 states who led delegates to Eagle Square, 2, if you put 2 over 32, it's fair.
That's a pass.
Yeah, it's fair to say that if you have 2 states that were at each other's jugular, it's fair to say it wasn't bad, after all. So we must give them that credit to the extent that at least now they've woken up, because for a long time, against what the Constitution says, the party has not been able to bring themselves together to conduct a convention. Now that they have done so, because it is important that those of us who are political watchers, what developments in, as far as APC is concerned, and not because we're interested in the party as a party, but because we're interested in the party, because people who distribute or redistribute both human and financial resources are in the APC. So in other words, happenings in the APC have a way of affecting me, even though I'm not a member, of the APC. Because all said and done, all the ministers are directly or indirectly members of the party. The president is a member of the party, and the president is responsible for the quality of life that I live. So I'm interested in looking at what happens in APC to the extent that it affects both my economic, sometimes even my, my spiritual well-being. So that's to the extent for which so we're watching. We're glad that they have a leadership, now. of course, we'll probably use the opportunity to congratulate Comrade Adams, on Shomole, and perhaps to look at and to wait and see what will come out of his style of leadership, reminding him that his state executive council is radically different from the executive council
of a political party.
All of them sought their mandate. They are not your political, appointees. They all went to the people to seek, their mandate. So they are all there on their own individual merit. So the pattern, the way you can't hire and fire. You can hire and fire a commissioner, but you can't hire and fire your national, vice chairman or your even an ex-official of the party. You cannot hire and fire. So the way you deal at a state executive is very much different from the way you deal at the executive of a ruling party where people are perhaps going to fall over themselves to see what can come to their plates.
All right, Christian, let me get you involved here. The convention is come and gone. New leaders have emerged, and what are your expectations? What are expectations? So what next?
Well, the foundation have been laid, like he said, for the first time since the party came on board. They have garnered the courage to do their convention. Before now, a lot of us thought that this convention will end the party. And against those predictions, they were able to come out stronger. Like my brother said, no matter how, I actually see the political class as a gang up against the commoners over time. But when you come to think of it from the other way, and remember what the Obafemi of the Blessed Memory said, that no matter how bad the politicians are, they are still better than the military. So we cannot be advocating for the military to come back now. Rather, we begin to encourage what we call political participation. Those of us that have been standing aside, allowing those
sitting on the fence,
and allowing those Baba Depolo of Blessed Memory said, what's it called? He said rogues to be in charge. Like Fela would say, vagabonds have been in power. So those of us at the fence should become participants. So we begin to change the system. I think for the first time, this convention I saw really create a picture that Nigeria is a work in progress. Like he said, it is true. Out of 36 states, including Abuja, 37, 2. And even after that day, at the end of the ceremony, when the same members from those 2 states were interviewed, you see that they have come together. So you begin to see that things are beginning to take shape even within this party.
Okay.
So you discover that when this arrangement is in progress, things will begin to work. And this new executive that have been elected, I think they have a golden opportunity to revise back party politics, because our constitution clearly said that Nigeria must practice party politics. It's not the type, we started with that one in 1999, but the first former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, turned it something else, and he become, that was where the issue of father of the party came. He became the chairman of the party, everything about him, that within this tenure, about 6 or 5 party chairmen was removed. Now, I thank God that this one allow this convention, the leaders of this party to, their 4 years to complete. New ones have been elected. So by the time we begin to see a system where the president will not be the party, where the governors will not be the party. And when it started from Obasanjo time, the president took over the party structure. That was how it trickled down to the state. While the state governors now become the commander-in-chief of all the parties, the local government now follow suit. So local government chairman now become commander-in-chief of all the parties. So, and the party become so useless that they were not able to dictate what it should be or call the president to question. Aduogbe that tried that, you know what is offered. He wrote a letter to Obasanjo, no, this is not how party, this was not our plan. That was how it was fathered. So from that time, nobody dared to complain. So I believe that with this new leadership now headed by Adam Shomole of APC, I believe that real party structure will begin to be properly erected.
Okay.
Because if we have a sound party system, sir, governance will be interesting. people will not be running away. People will want to come and join. Not the kind we have, it was like a cut. Gradually now, and by the time it's now clear to you that no matter how mighty or how rich you are, you only have one vote.
Yeah.
That you will not sit down in your parlor and decide who win the election.
Who becomes what?
Who becomes this, who becomes that.
Yeah.
That was, you see what happened in Imo State. I think the last report I read yesterday, that the man had decided now to drop his in-law, who he said must be the next governor. He now gets a clearer picture that it's not the way you think. That is to tell you that things are beginning to take shape. Okay. And this new leadership of the party must insist that party structure must be sacrosanct. Okay,
Reverend Olo Martins, what in your opinion is the first major challenge that the new leadership of the ruling party needs to deal with? I mean, as we make progress towards the election, I mean, looking at all the indices on the ground as it relates to the state of affairs in the nation.
Thank you again. First of all, let me say that I don't think that a lot has changed with regards to state governors being the Al Capone tutti of political parties. If you look at the just concluded election, many of the state governors, their candidates, were the ones that won the elections. A case in question is Imo State. The guy who was organizing secretary, he didn't come back because he had been on loggerhead with Rocha's Okorocha. Muiz Banire of Lagos State, he didn't come back as a national legal advisor because he had been at loggerhead, so to speak, with the owner of the party in Lagos, Asiwaju Ahmed Tinubu. Magnus Abe's candidates, none of them won in Rivers State because we know he had been at loggerhead with Chief Rotimi Amechi. So it is not true that Godfathers, that's not true. As it stands today, the people who pay the piper are still the ones that dictate the tune. Again, is that you remember that the state escorts of the party had given the Oyegun-led party, Oyegun-led leadership 1 year extension. And then at a parley with the president disagreed with that position, and they had to go back and rejig that arrangement. So in the Nigerian system, the president is still the one that determines who the president wants or who the president wants. Do not forget that we had heard before now that at a meeting, the president had called the state governors and given them in quote marching order that his candidate for this election was Comrade Adams Aliu Oshomole. And by the time the convention came up, everybody who supposedly wanted to contest that position with Adams Oshomole drew back. So in other words, at the end of the day, it was the desire of the president that still
prevailed.
Yeah, prevailed. So we need to get that clear. Maybe another dimension is that when we say one man, one vote, it's only in the Constitution. We know that there are people who can sit in their house and control thousands of votes. Because it's not just how you thumb print. It's not just the thumb print. It's how you thumb print. But in talking about the very immediate task of the leadership as led by Comrade Adams Oshomole, a lot of times in church, the pastor comes up and says, who are those who are worshiping with us for the first time? And then we celebrate them. I said in their large numbers. We don't take into cognizance those who worshiped with us for the last time. We don't take into cognizance those who didn't come. We celebrate those who came to church. We don't sit back to say, what? I didn't see Brother John this week, all right? I said that to say, I imagine that the reason why they brought in Adams Oshomole in an election year at that is because of his ruggedness, is because of his articulacy, and then it's because of his ability, to convince to the, anybody, especially with regards to his views. Whether that is what is essentially needed now is a different ball game entirely, because this present leadership must also consider reconciling several blocks of the party who have differences with each other. In this national convention that took place, the Senate president, social media went agog with the way they said the Senate president was looking at the president. And I also saw it. If I needed to interpret how he was looking at him, he was looking at him with this, I mean, with some kind of disdain, as if to say, if I get this guy for corner, you could, and then social media went agog.
You're not in his mind.
That's what I'm saying. Okay. That I say, if I may say,
yeah.
Social media went agog with regards to that.
Yeah.
And then if you look at the fallout of the election, the candidates of Senator Bukola Saraki lost to his sister in the national election, Bemi Saraki. So it is clear that there is challenge, there's friction between the leadership since the day the Senate president emerged, and Dogara. Since that day, being not the desire, the candidate of the president, as it was then purported, there's been friction between the National Assembly and the executive arm of government. So I think the first thing, instead of looking at how to win election, you first of all look at, because people used to win election. Comrade Adams Oshiomhole has the responsibility of reconciling the very many differences that exist within the rank and file of the party. At the concluded state congresses, no less than 22 states had parallel factions. Rabiu Musa Kwakanso was conspicuously absent at the convention, even though he had not decamped or cross-carpeted. And on that same evening of the election, we are told that he had a meeting with Turaki Adamawa Atiku Abubakar. So clearly is that there are quite a lot of people who, even from the fallout of this convention, will feel cheated, will feel sidelined, and would naturally be disgruntled. So if you just go out, because I heard the speech of the comrade governor, his acceptance speech, and in his usual style, he was frontal, and I'm asking myself, is that the temperament to conduct yourself with at this very particular time? Because it was Chinua Achebe that said that those for whom the spirits have been benevolent enough to help crack their pumpkin should remain humble. I expected that the speech of the newly sworn in national chairman of the party would be embracing, would be conciliatory, would placate feelings. First of all, before you now talk about how you are going to crush the opposition party, how you will do it, you will first of all make people understand that you are here as the father because your temperament. I did mention that a state executive council, where the only person that shares the mandate with you is the deputy governor, whom by constitution you can even make redundant, is different from the national executive council of a political party. As student union president, I won election, but every other person also won election. So the way I can deal with my secretary general who spent money, campaign, and won election, is not the way I can deal, for instance, with my aide, that I appointed him. So that regular frontal nature of a former labor leader that is to be expected, the niece, Comrade Adams Oshiomhole, as governor of Edo State, and some of the challenges we saw in Edo State, his temperament must be a different temperament. Nobody can go and die at that level. His language must be different. Yeah. His language must be accommodating, because in this particular case, the methodology that he requires to lead the party is a different methodology that he requires to lead the state. Because at the state level, he answers to nobody. All right, as national chairman of the party, there are a couple of people he answers to, including the president.
All right, let me bring in Kristen, which is an issue that is being ongoing. The state of affairs in the nation, the security challenges, the economic challenges, public perception. Some have said the party leadership before now has not really lived up to expectation in helping to drive policies, drive programs, and all of that. In that aspect, how do you think the new leadership of the party can help to bridge these gaps that have been in existence, which some allege are in existence in the country?
Well, every time and season determines the responsibility of the leader. The challenges that confront us today, I think, is clearly dictates that person of the dexterity of Oshiomhole should come on board. There is really negativity in the party structure, like I said earlier. That is why most of those challenges are observed. Like in South Africa, if the leader begins to deviate from the party standard, the party simply hold the meeting and say, look, we have lost confidence in you. And that is the beginning of his end of his tenure.
Yeah.
So, but here, party don't talk. So, considering where we are coming from 1999, the party was laid on the foundation of a normal procedure, and somebody turned into a personal procedure, and it come around from ladder.
Must we continue to dwell on that?
That is the issue now.
Yes.
That is why I am saying that with this current arrangement, things are beginning to take shape. And that is why this new leadership of APC have a greater responsibility to make sure that party rule, which is the golden rule, is enforced. Party has constitution. Nobody should breach the constitution. And because of the impunity that this same party that is the government started with, that is why they have those myriad of problems. When party say this is what we want, nobody should be bigger than the party. Not even the president, not the governor. If the party said this is our decision, no matter how that decision was come about, but as long as it is the majority decision of a party, this is our stand, everybody key in. But what we have before now, see drawing the strength from the old order, the individual has hijacked the party, and that is the pitfall that almost ravaged the current leadership, APC government that have been in power. Now with this gradual move, if you observe since I give it to our President Buhari, since he came, he has tried as much as possible to distance himself from the party crisis and how the crisis are resolved. He made it clear that the political parties have a mechanism of crisis management. So whenever issues are brought to him, he said, let the party go and resolve it. Whether he do it at the corner to in his own way, it's not the issue. What we are familiar with publicly. Like when the issue of the election of the leadership of the National Assembly came, he said, whoever emerges, he's ready to work with the person. Even when the party decide, he never stepped in publicly. Now, those are some of the things that make system to work. Now, because he didn't step in publicly, a lot of people, it was easy for Saraki and the Dagbara to come on board. And since they come on board, you see the way they have been going about the whole issue. Like he said, those eye look, which is really express of so many things in his mind that he could not utter out. And even if you see his own delegates from his state, the way they receive him, you should know that there is a complete disconnect between him and. Now you discover that all these things, for me, when there is crisis, like the Chinese will say, conflict is an opportunity for change.
Can you say that in Chinese?
that is
anyway, just on the lighter side, please go on.
Conflict is an opportunity for change. When there is conflict, simply means that we need to sit down and look at issues.
Okay.
For Okorocha to even have input in this convention, like he observed, he has to agree. They sat him down. He has to agree to allow party rule. That was after the now said well, he has a plan to drop his own in-law. That he have said, come Rory and Sunshine, gradually, sir, what I believe this country will begin to. There is hope for Nigeria.
Okay. Whether
we are seeing it clearly now or not. But I believe that, like the posture of INEC today, like they say, INEC was in that convention observing what they have been doing.
Okay.
Now, from what we are seeing, even if your vote is not counting 100%, but I'm 100% sure that the spirit of Yar'Adua will be happy today, because when he came in, he said the election that brought him on board was completely flawed. Gradually, whether we can't see that INEC is trying as much as possible to say that our vote count. It might not count 100% now, but I believe that with those clear-minded individuals that I said they should leave the fence and become participants in the system, things will begin to take shape. And if there is no imposition in party, you will not struggle to kill yourself during the election. It is when the man will just decide this one should become the local government chairman, this one should become the House of Assembly member. Whatever the party says is not important. That is why they will carry the fight to the election day. But if you allow the due process of electioneering within the party to choose who become a candidate of the party, the election will become so easy and there will not be crisis much.
Okay,
this leadership led by Oshomole is under obligation. He has an opportunity. You know, God give you opportunity at times. Time and season determine how you make use of the opportunity. He must build a functioning political party.
All right.
Because for now, we still have just one law in our constitution, that Nigeria must practice party politics.
Okay. Olumatis, I know some thoughts have been running through your mind while Christian was speaking on some of the immediate challenges facing the country. But that seems to be the crux of the matter. I just wanted to get your thoughts, your views on how the political party with the new leadership can change public perception about government, about governance, about impact, about promises made and how these promises have been kept, about the current challenges the country is going through right now. Just a few days ago, it was another bloodbath in Plateau State that has been attracting international condemnation, local condemnation. Mr. President has said that those behind those murders must be brought to book. He has ordered the redeployment of police personnel in those states. The Nigerian Air Force, the police are mobilizing. We see all of these reactionary responses to these issues, not proactive. I don't know what you make of all of this.
I'm in consensus at the dome. And let me provide some data. Just recently, it is said that Nigeria will overtake China in poverty per capita. In other words, by statistics, current statistics, for every 6 minutes, somebody is entering into the $1 a day lifestyle in Nigeria. Meanwhile, in India, that has a population of about 1 billion people, people are coming out of poverty. The way people are entering into poverty in the past 3 years since President Muhammadu Buhari took office, I'm talking statistics here, is unprecedented. Unfortunately, it seems to be a replay of what we experienced in 1983 when when there was rationing, food here and there. One. Number two, Paul Onongo, former chairman of the Northern Elders Forum, he says for a long time now, he has not woken up on a daily basis without hearing in Benue State that 10 people are killed, 15 people are killed, 20 people are killed. Just a few days ago, like you said, in Jos Plateau. It didn't take 2 hours, sir. It took 60 hours. 48 hours makes a day. So in another 12 hours, the rampaging would have gone on for 3 days. And you are asking, where is military intelligence? Remember, sir, that Lieutenant General T.Y. Danjuma, retired, had said that there's collusion between the military and the people who are causing all of this.
The military has since debunked that.
The military has since debunked that. However, is that what you say is not as important as what you do. We have seen people move swiftly to action. As in one of the northern states, 3 guys were alleged, or 5 of them were said to have killed a herdsman. The court proceedings that led to their being given death sentence took place in a matter of days or weeks, and they were given death sentence. But the killings on a daily basis now, we haven't had one apprehension. Instead, Garba Shehu, the presidential spokesperson, has said that what happened was people are taking advantage. It's political actors that are taking advantage that led to the last count killing was 200 people. The videos are gory videos. The president of a sane country will visit that site immediately.
Yeah, but he has made a statement condemning the act and directing the deployment of police officers.
This is not the first time the killings have taken place. Benue has had several killings. It's not enough to make statements. Are there apprehensions? Have we had any arrest? And then you ask yourself, sir, how do you have thousands of people go through hundreds of miles? They enter into a state in Hiluxes, in motorcycles. They go through the wherever route they go to. Nobody notices them. The police does not notice them. The army does not notice them. And then when the crime happens, when the mayhem happens, people come up and then we start making statements. What happened to intelligence? What happened to patrolling our borders? So a political party has the responsibility, and please let us say it very clearly here, that when the president emerges as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, he is no longer actively speaking an APC member. He is now the president of even the PDP. He is the president of the good, the bad, and the ugly. However, he came to that place on the platform of the party. So a leadership of the party now looks at the manifesto of the party. And the manifesto of the constitution of the party is derived from the manifesto, or is derived from the constitution of Nigeria. And the constitution of Nigeria says the primary responsibility of a government is to do the greatest good to the greatest number of people within the shortest possible time. So economically, have we fared better? We are tired of the broken records play of what happened 3 years ago, what happened 4 years ago. Tanzania, John Magufuli, in 6 months. Joyce Banda of Malawi, in 8 months, took radical steps that was a salutary pointer to the fact that this country is going somewhere. I do not know the experiences of other people, but from my experiences, from the indicators, from statistics, some of them from even Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, clearly is that Nigerians are becoming poorer, Nigerians are becoming less secure, and Nigerians are even, the trust that Nigeria has for government and security agencies is also, nosediving by the day. So a party has the responsibility to go to the executive arm of government and remind them that when we were campaigning, we campaigned to the people that we're going to secure their lives. Sir, clearly is that from what is happening now, like you said, from public perception, people are losing faith. Okay, the executive now has a the party now has a responsibility to approach the presidency to remind them and to attempt to whip them in line. Whether this party that does not have its own resources and as powerful as the president of Nigeria, not President Muhammadu, but as powerful as the office is, whether the party can do it is a different
kettle of fish. Let me just get Christian's final thoughts on this before we call it a wrap. Yes, Christian. Looking at some of the indices, because his presentations based on the indices on the ground. These indices on the ground, in your opinion, are there things that have changed public perception of government and governance and impacts made in the last 3 years?
Well, you see, everybody is entitled to his own opinion. From my own opinion, I think the government came in at a very critical time of our nation, and things were upside down. Imagine, like I asked somebody, if I were receiving 100,000 naira every month, living on it, pay my rent, take care of my children, and suddenly my salary now become 25,000 naira. There's no way I would be here. I will live the normal life I was living when I was receiving 100,000 naira. That was where Nigeria find herself when this administration came. And by the grace of God, we're able to navigate in that crisis, navigate out of a recession. The foreign reserve is increasing. The economy is beginning to take shape. Like the other day, it was reported that the inflation is going down. It's 11.5 the last time. So when you talk of indexes, like I move around, a lot of capital project is going on around the country. Most of the roads that have been abandoned, construction is coming up. And now when those challenges we find, especially in the north, just a few days ago, a former governor of that same Benue was arrested, Suswa. And one of the armed robber, the criminal that have been declared wanted all these years, that is spearheading most of all these killings, contacted him on phone. So all these politicians have been using all these boys, even of the armed robbery in Kwara State. You hear the confession, whether no matter what we say about all these things. You see, this crime and criminality did not happen just one day. It has been there. And the joy we have is that it is taking a new dimension, and government is looking at that direction. With time, those challenges will go. Because the problem, a leader that is afraid of problem is not a leader.
Absolutely.
This leader has shown dexterity to confront these challenges as they come. That's what makes a leader.
Okay.
Whether he's doing it to your satisfaction is another ball game altogether. But the emphasis is that for a leader to give a directive that this thing should be done, and the people are responding. And I tell you, by the time most of all these politicians that have been looting this money to recruit these boys, that is why they must be called criminals. That is why we see, say, herdsmen, for example. Criminals are among them. Now let's address the criminals so that we begin to tackle the problem the way it is. Not for you to say, because a Christian commits one crime, all Christians are criminals. No. Be specific so that when you want to fight the crime and criminality, you get your focus. So for this new leadership of the party, like he rightly said, they should begin to itemize what the party stands for.
Okay.
And how things should be
done
in such a way that the Nigerian citizen will be proud of their country.
Okay.
Now the fight, honestly, is not about it's not a body issue. All of it should be
collective.
Collective. So that
all
we
right.
begin to tackle this issue. See something, say something. Nigeria will move forward.
All right, that's the much we can take on this segment of the show. I want to say big thanks to our panelists, Reverend Dolu Martins.
Thank you for
having me.
And
Christian Osagali. Thank you so much for your time on the show.